Let's get started and dive deeper into the topic that we have today. We are going to the step 2, where we want to know how to apply creative thinking, or how to apply lateral thinking. How is it really difficult, or is it really rocket science, or can I be creative, or is it again, as we saw last time, it's not just the property of the designers or the artists. Edward de Bono, he has really made it simpler and acceptable and easy to use. So there are various thinking techniques uh, devised by Mr. Edward de Bono. There are, I think, many of them, but 7 to 8 prominent. Some of these techniques are very simple, and some of these techniques are quite complex to understand. So there is one very nice technique called as six thinking hats. It's very famous. It's acceptable in a lot of organizations across the world. So we are not the first one to talk about it. There are hundreds of other, I think, thousands of other companies who are using the six thinking hats technique to make their meetings more productive. Okay. It basically separates ego from thinking. So this person has done a really excellent job to create this technique, which is called as six thinking hats. It's like putting on a hat of someone. It's like a role playing. It's like a game. So there are six hats in total, as you see. There are six colors. It starts from white, and then you can go basically anti-clockwise, then red, and then black, green, blue, and yellow. So we'll go into each of these hats. So basically what happens is we used to have meetings. Then someone wants to say something. Right? A meeting is going on, creative discussion is going on, and someone wants to say something, but he doesn't say because of uh, diverting the topic of the meeting, or because of sharing his or her personal feelings. Then there is other way, and then there are other things that meetings are not productive. They are not able to generate any creative ideas. Our thinking is always focused on analysis and basically not design. And then there are cases where whole of the information is not covered. It's applicable for a single person. It's applicable for a group. Both can do it. And instead of trying to do everything at once, we wear only one hat at a time. So let's say there are 6 people in the meeting. They all could be doing green hat thinking at the same time for 1 minute. And then next, they all do blue hat thinking at the same time for a minute. This is like a game, as I said, a role play. And this gives everyone a chance, not only to be creative, but to be able to put forward their honest feelings and opinions without hurting anyone. Okay, so it's really interesting. It's really great. We'll see. I'll get more deeper. So 6 thinking hats. Okay, now let's see what are these hats signifying today, or what does the color remind you of, right? It's like put on your thinking hat. हम लोगों ने सुना होगा ये, right? Okay. So there is a traditional association between hats and thinking. That's why Mr. Edward de Bono might have chosen hats, right? So put on your thinking hat, for example. Now think of the colors, what they remind you of. So most important of all, the hats can be put on and put off. So it's like you're playing a role of someone, and then you come out of that role. So you're not stuck to the role. That means a black hat thinker is not a bad person, and a blue hat thinker is not the chair basically leader every time, right? Or a green hat thinker is not the creative person. They are not categories. They are not categories of people. The technique is precisely to move away from categories and egoism in the meetings, and to get more productive, and to give everyone a chance to be creative, and to give every meeting to be productive, and to cover all the angles. Now, for the white paper, you can think of white paper or clean slate, right? Basically white paper from a printout, or white paper from a printer. For the red hat, it's very easy to signify the red with the fire and the bomb color. Black, similarly, think of a judge who's wearing a black coat. Yellow is, you can think of sunshine. It's yellow, the brightness, the positive, the optimistic side of things. Right? Green is represents creativity. Green is for creativity. Green is for greenery. Green is for rich growth, ideas, alternatives, options, and such. Blue is the overall. Blue is the cheerleader. Blue is the sky. Blue is the metadata, or thinking about thinking, or steering the direction of the thinking. Think of it as the meeting organizer. Think of it as the tech lead of or the squad lead. ठीक है. अभी इसमें आगे देखते हैं ये कैसे करते हैं ये टेक्निक्स. How is it useful? क्या होता है इससे? How do you get creative with this? तो white hat से आप क्या करते हैं? Like let's say you are discussing about an idea. So you want to discuss an idea, which and then you want to look at all angles. You want to generate alternatives. You want to see what concepts it brings to. You want to see how it is going to be productive to your business, or whether you can make the meeting productive to get the magic idea out. Right? Let's see what white is. So white is white hat, basically white paper, right? So it represents facts and information. You ask, how do we get this information? You ask what information is missing. You ask what information we have here. आप किसी टॉपिक पे बात कर रहे हैं, आप व्हाइट हैट थिंकिंग सब लोग कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब लेट्स कलेक्ट ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन. फैक्ट्स क्या है? सी, separating facts from figures, right? Separating from facts from assumptions, separating facts from feelings, because feelings के लिए और एक हैट है सेपरेटली. नाउ दीज आर ऑल आपको रिमेंबर करने के लिए ये हैट्स एक दूसरे को रिलेट भी करते हैं. ठीक है, रिलेट कैसे करते हैं? तो each of the two hats represent something. So white and red are related. How? Because white is facts and red are feelings. तो feeling में आप कुछ बोल सकते हैं जो white केस में नहीं जाता, ठीक है. So putting on your red hat, you can share your hunch or emotions or feelings, ठीक है, as we'll get into. But white is completely in contrast with the red, as in white facts के बारे में आपको बताता है, ठीक है. तो let's go further. Red में क्या होता है कि red में you share your feelings. You see some examples on the slide here. My gut feeling is it will not work. कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि मीटिंग में हमको डिस्कस करते हैं, तो किसी को ऐसा लगता है कि किसी को कुछ फीलिंग आता है, किसी को कुछ फीलिंग आता है, बट हम शेयर नहीं करते बिकॉज वी डोंट नो whether it is right or wrong, whether we don't know whether it is good to share or not, है ना. We don't know if someone will get hurt with that or not. तो हम क्या करते हैं, जनरली we don't share our feelings. तो ये रेड हैट क्या करता है, रेड हैट gives you a chance. So you can say, putting on my red hat, I can say that I don't feel right about this one. The chairperson can say, or someone can say, okay, let's do some red hat thinking on this. Like, what do you feel on this? Okay, without explaining. So this is like without explaining your. So it basically gives you permission to forward your feelings, to share your feelings in a meeting or a team or for any project, without apology or explanation. You can just say, I feel like this. Okay? Putting on. So this red hat helps with that kind of thinking. Black hat. Let's move further. अभी हम देखते हैं कि black और दूसरा क्या होता है. तो black relates to the other one, which is yellow. क्योंकि these are logical hats. Black में it's stern, the honesty, right? It's the truth. It's face the truth. It's the critical hat. It's to assess the weaknesses of the idea. There are two powerful uses of the black hat. One is to find the weaknesses of any idea, and another is to use at the end to finalize, to take the assessment whether it fits the regulations or not. So black allows you to be the look at the critical angle of the person or the idea. Black hat पहनकर आप देखते हैं कि is it true? Basically, does it fit the environment? Will it work really? What are the dangers? What are the problems? Are we breaking any laws? Are we stepping onto something to achieve this? Truth क्या है? Honesty क्या है? ठीक है? Are we doing basically silly things, right? Are we doing illegal things? तो ये आपको उससे बचाता है. Black hat. ठीक है? It is another kind of a role play. फिर है yellow. Yellow is more like basically logical again. जैसे black hat thinking है, ऐसे yellow उसका opposite. So yellow allows you to see the bright side of things, the sunshine. How is this going to work? How it can be done? It looks at the feasibility. It looks at the benefits. It's basically looking into the future. How reduced cost may help increase budgets. How it will require minimum code change. How it will be possible. So someone will put on explicitly this hat and see the benefits of any idea, even into the future, or even onto the topic into the future. What are the benefits? Why should it work? So हमने ये हैट्स देखे अभी, तो ये अलग अलग कलर के हैट्स हैं, तो अलग अलग चीजों को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं टू गेट डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ एंगल्स टू द प्रॉब्लम, डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ एंगल्स टू एनी आइडिया. तो येलो एंड ब्लैक आर रिलेटेड बिकॉज दे आर बोथ पुटिंग योर लॉजिकल थॉट्स. दैट मींस आप ऐसे नहीं बोलेंगे कि आई थिंक ये बेनिफिट है बट यू डोंट हैव अ रीजन. So this is for expressing feelings you have read, where you don't need to be logical or you don't need to explain, like I just feel this. But with yellow and black, it's more of a logical thinking, where you will come up with some point which is more likely backed by a reason or more likely backed by some fact. Okay? You'll say, I see these benefits because we are reducing cost. I see this benefit because we are doing this, or this might happen due to this. Okay, let's move further and see. We have green now, which is absolutely wonderful. And there is, I think, one remaining, which is blue. So we'll cover blue after green. Let's see green. So green is the best. Green is the creative part. Green represents creative thinking. Green hat remind करता है कि आप you should always look at alternatives and not be fixed to a particular mindset of a problem. आप explore करते हैं, आप proposal देते हैं नए-नए, आप ideas generate करते हैं. This is to require deliberate effort. This is the creativity culture. Okay. So when everyone puts on the green hat, they all maybe deliberately spending 1 minute to think of alternatives, to deliberately applying the technique that time. So let's say in green hat, you will pause for some time, or you will take a time out when you are in the green hat, and then you will take some time out and you will have the motivation to generate some other ideas. Or what are the possibilities? You will apply some provocation. Provocation is another technique. You will apply some movement. Movement is another technique, right? Are there any additional alternatives? Is this the best way to do of doing something? Right? You ask this question. You don't just take anything for granted. You see definitely what are the alternatives. Right? What are the ideas here? What are the fertile ideas? Think of branches. Think of trees when you think of green hat. Now let's go to the blue hat, which is thinking about thinking, or which is, you can say, metadata. It is like the chairperson's hat. It's to control the direction of thinking. Otherwise, सब लोग ग्रीन लगा के ही बैठे हैं आधा घंटा, या सब लोग ब्लैक लगा के ही बैठे हैं. There are no output of the meeting, right? So there is someone who needs to look at the blue hat. Blue hat means the blue sky. You can remember the blue sky when you want to remember this hat. The sky is above everything, right? Similarly, you can look down at something from the bird eye view. तो ब्लू हेड वाला क्या करेगा, वो हायर एंगल से देखेगा कि प्रोसेस कंट्रोल हो रहा है कि नहीं, कि ऐसे नहीं सब लोग एक ही इसमें लगे हुए हैं, right? Blue hat will cover the points like where are we now, right? Why are we stuck? What is the idea? What is the next step? What is the program ahead? What is the summary and what is the output? And what is the observation and comment? Let's look at priorities. ठीक है, तो ब्लू हेड वाला क्या करेगा, कंट्रोल करेगा. कंट्रोल इन नॉट इन द रॉन्ग वे, कंट्रोल इन द राइट वे, एज इन के मीटिंग का आउटपुट निकल रहा है कि नहीं, है ना, या सारे हेड्स कवर हुए कि नहीं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. है ना, ये भी देखना पड़ेगा ना किसी. What is the focus? Are we stuck somewhere? What is the next step? So at any given point, blue hat can make a comment at the right point. Now let's see the use of the hats, how we use it. Okay, it's very interesting. It's a game, as I said. It's more like a game, and it's not. It makes your meeting interesting. It saves time. It changes negative perception. You're putting on a hat, and then your brain is also start working. Basically, suddenly starts working in that direction, right? आपने हैट लगाया, आपका फीलिंग बता दिया, आपने हैट उतार दिया, देन यू आर डूइंग ग्रीन थिंकिंग नाउ. सो तो आपने देखा सडनली आपका इमोशन भी चला गया, सडनली यू आर ऑल फीलिंग फ्रेश एंड यू आर एबल टू जनरेट क्रिएटिव आइडियाज. तो इट हेल्प्स develop your thinking first of all. Okay, it's a brain game, you can say. It's a very it will help your brain to understand thinking in a deeper way, है ना. आपका mental विकास होगा इससे अगर आप ये अप्लाई करते हैं. Now let's see how to use these hats. So let's come back to it. And hats are not categories, as I said, of people. So we don't need to be mindful. We need to be mindful that we don't need to blame someone to be a black hat thinker. He will put on the black hat and then he has to take out the black hat. And then you go to the green hat and then you go to the yellow hat. So there is a systematic use and there is an occasional use. Systematic use is putting on the hat sequence for the best that works for us and then fixing it for a meeting. Or let's call a 6 thinking hat meeting for this topic. इस तरह से कर सकते हैं. या फिर ओकेशनल यूज किए, जस्ट एक ही हैट आपने यूज किया एट टाइम. आपने बोला कि चलो ये आइडिया हम इंप्लीमेंट करने जा ही रहे, लेट्स डू सम ब्लैक हैट थिंकिंग ऑन दिस. इसको क्रिटिकली देख लेते हैं करने से पहले कि कुछ सिली तो नहीं हो रहा. या फिर अनदर सिस्टमैटिक सिंगल यूज, आप बोलेंगे कि चलो ये बहुत ब्लैक, ये सब हम लोग नेगेटिव आइडियाज बोल रहे हैं, लेट्स डू सम ग्रीन हैट थिंकिंग ऑन दिस. डेलिबरेटली देखते हैं कि क्या ऑल्टरनेटिव्स है, डेलिबरेटली देखते हैं कि क्या येलो पॉइंट्स है, क्या पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स. तो आप सिंगल अप्लाई करके भी कर सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि ये. तो इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग गेम. एक एक हैट आप अलग से भी यूज कर सकते हैं, कभी भी यूज कर सकते हैं. यू कैन मेक द कल्चर ऑफ द कंपनी. यू कैन कॉल अ 6 हैट मीटिंग to help with the creative effort, and you dismantle ego from thinking. The most important thing, the power, the why people adapt this technique is it dismantles ego from the thinking. So I think that much we had for today. Thanks.